Hello and welcome. This is one of my favorite songs from one of my favorite bands. It's fun to sing along to and has a great story too. And as with any art, however, it's open to interpretation. So disclaimer here, these are only my ideas about the song. Your ideas may vary and they're just as valid. It's okay. No judgment here. And so we're not going to discuss the music of the song. We'll leave that up to Rick Beato in one of his What Makes That Song Great videos. As an untrained person like myself, who's simply a fan of music, I have no business talking about the technical aspects of the song. So we're just going to discuss the lyrics and the story that they tell. Red Barchetta is from Rush's 1981 studio album, Moving Pictures. It might also be pronounced Barchetta, with a K instead of a CH, which is fine. The lyrics were written, as most of Rush's songs were, by drummer Neil Peart, nicknamed the Professor. One of my favorite fun facts is that his middle name is Elwood. I don't know why I like that, but I love that his name is Elwood. Sadly, we lost him a few years ago, but his music lives on in our hearts and minds. It was inspired by a 1973 futuristic short story in Road and Track magazine called A Nice Morning Drive. Peart was a car and motorcycle enthusiast, so it makes sense that he'd be reading that magazine. The car was most likely a 1948 Ferrari 166 MM Barchetta, which Peart actually owned one of them, and said was his favorite car. And because it's a Ferrari, of course, it has to be red. For many years, I sang along with the song, thinking it was just a simple tale about a guy who went for a joyride in his uncle's car. However, after looking at the lyrics more closely, the song says so much more than that. So let's hear the first few lines of the song and we'll get into it right now.
My uncle has a country place no one knows about. He says it used to be a farm before the motor law.
The uncle has a farm outside of town, and it used to be a farm before the motor law, and we'll get into that a little bit more thoroughly about what the motor law is. But the story is about a dystopian future where cars have been outlawed, and maybe the only way to get around is with public transportation, and that's the motor law has outlawed all of that. And so this is a story about not complying with that law.
And on Sundays I lose the eyes and off the turbine frame.
So on Sundays, elude the eyes. So this is sort of like a 1984 where there's cameras everywhere and Big Brother's always watching you. So for some reason, maybe on Sundays, there's not as many people keeping an eye on people. So maybe that's a good time to do your little mischief. And then he says to hop the turbine freight. I don't want to tell you what I thought this line was when I would sing along with it, but I got it totally wrong. So the turbine freight, what they talk about in the song, I think is like some sort of futuristic public transportation that gets people all around. And you're not allowed to have cars or internal combustion engines, so it's kind of like maybe an electric thing or something.
Too far outside the wire where my white-haired uncle waits.
Okay, too far outside the wire where my white-haired uncle waits. So he talks about the wire and borderline, almost like there's a city that's cordoned off and you're not really allowed to leave that city. But he's able on this Sunday to get outside the wire and meet his white-haired uncle. So white-haired uncle kind of indicating how old he is because he's, had this car for 50 years. So he must be in his 70s or 80s or something like that.
Jump to the ground as the turbo slows across the borderline.
Jump to the ground as the turbo slows across the borderline. Okay, I thought he was driving to his uncle's house and he had a turbo car. That was when I was sing along with the song years ago, that's what I thought is his turbo would slow. But I think the turbo, he's referring to that turbine freight, that public transportation. And the feeling that I get is that his uncle's farm isn't even a real stop. It's it kind of slows a little bit and he has to physically jump off. So he's jumping off of this turbine freight public transportation.
Run like the wind, as excitement shivers up and down my spine. Down in his barn, my uncle preserved for me an old machine for 50 odd years.
So this kind of makes sense because he's run like the wind. I think that's literal. I think he's literally running. He took the public transportation, jumped off, and he's running like down maybe a dirt road to get to his uncle's house. Of course, he's excited. And then we get our first glimpse of the car. So down in the barn, he preserved an old machine for 50 years. So this has been sitting there for 50 years, and he's very excited to get to his uncle's house. And many people ask me, ooh, Lawrence, should I subscribe to your channel? Of course. If you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. So to keep it as new has been his dearest dream. So we kind of figured that the uncle maybe kept it maintained. After 50 years, you know, the tires are going to be old, and he's going to be screeching those tires pretty soon. So maybe the uncle kept new tires on it, inflated, maybe changed the oil, and kind of kept it maintained over all those years.
I strip away the old debris behind a shining car. 8 billion Red Barchetta from a better vanished time.
Okay, so he stripped away the old debris that hides a shining car. This is a little bit of it doesn't really work with the story exactly right, in my opinion, because it sort of sounds like it's the first time he's going over there, and the car's covered with all this junk, you know, maybe a tarp, and he has to take all that stuff off. But then in a previous line, he said something like, on Sundays, I would elude the eyes. So almost like he goes there every Sunday. And then in another line, he says, my weekly crime. Like he does this every week or every Sunday. But why would you be stripping away the debris over from the car if you do that? I don't know. Maybe the uncle puts it back or something. I don't know. Or maybe they cover it up after it's done. But that's a little bit of an inconsistency in the storyline, in my opinion. But then when they do remove all the debris, that shows the brilliant Red Barchetta underneath there. And of course, it's from a better vantage time. And I want to thank this week's sponsor, ice cream, the cold, delicious treat that's good anytime, whether you make it in your own Ninja at home or you swing through the drive-thru at Dairy Queen. Ice cream, it's what's for dinner. So he fired up the willing engine. I always thought it was the winning engine, but it was the willing engine. So that kind of leads me to believe that the uncle kind of maintains it and keeps it in working order, because it just fired right up the willing engine and responded with a roar.
In my head, shifting and drifting, mechanical music.
So wind in his hair. So it's obviously a convertible, which you can see in a lot of the pictures that that car was a convertible. And that's really fun to drive out on the mountains, shifting and drifting, mechanical music. And so probably not used to hearing that, you know, these public transportations probably were, and, you know, they had these electrical motor noises or something, which is a stark difference from a Red Barchetta, which is mechanical music. Okay, well-weathered leather, hot metal, and oil. Uh, if anybody's had an old car, you can always know that it has like a certain smell to it, right? Especially if it's leather, kind of the older leather smell with the oil and the gasoline and things like that. You get in there and it just has this distinctive smell. Older cars, I'm sure many of you know that. I remember when I was a kid growing up, my dad was working on this Corvette. It was like a mid-60s Corvette. It was always in the garage. And so I would come home after school or whatever, and I would sit in the driver's seat of that Corvette and work the steering wheel. And I had many adventures going like this, mountain roads and chasing and being chased. And I had just a ball just sitting in that Corvette, pretending that I was going someplace. So, and I can still remember when I hear that line, I still remember getting in that Corvette and what it smelled like. So he's driving along, and then suddenly ahead of him, across the mountainside, there's a gleaming alloy air car. This is another one that I butchered the line when I didn't actually know what it was. I used to sing along with it, and it's embarrassing. I don't want to tell you what I said. But a gleaming alloy air car. So this is like a modern, maybe electric, big and powerful vehicle, maybe something like a Tesla or something that people are driving now, as a stark contrast to this little teeny fast Ferrari Roadster that he's driving. And then one of the most significant lines is shoots toward me 2 lanes wide. I thought he went like across 2 lanes, but I don't really think that's what this is going for. I think the alloy air car is 2 lanes wide. It's like a huge wide. And that sort of goes with because when I get in the Tesla and I drive it, it seems really, really wide compared to the Yaris or some other small car. So it's going to be a key in the next couple of verses that car is 2 lanes wide. So we'll see. So he spins around the shrieking tires. Hope those tires are new. And he's run the deadly race, so he has a real chance of not making it out of this race. Goes zooming through the valley, and then another alloy air car joins in. So I'm almost thinking that this isn't like just some people out for a joyride and they're racing with him, and I think this is the police. So I think they've kind of got wind that he went outside the wire, that he's driving around. They probably have microphones and cameras even outside the wire and the borderline. And these are the police coming in their alloy air car to chase him down and probably take him to jail, at least. So that's my interpretation of it. Maybe I'm reaching a little bit. I don't know. Drive like the wind, straining the limits of machine and men. So he's right on the limit of what this car can do and what he can do. He's laughing out loud, but then he comes up with a plan. So at the 1-lane bridge, he leaves the giant stranded at the riverside. So he knows that these alloy air cars are 2 lanes wide. The 1-lane bridge is only one. He's got a little teeny roadster. He heads for that, zooms through. They can't go through, and they have to stop. So he's able to make a big loop and come back to his uncle's farm. Race back to the farm, and then he and his uncle hang out by the fireside, and he has a great story to tell. Well, all right, that just about does it here. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you liked it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.